Emma Dragon, Margaret Mastrangelo,
Hey.
myself, Susan Mosley, members of the Board of Health. We have Roxanne Dunn, our public health nurse, Peter Lorre, our administrator, and we are waiting on Ben Nickham, our health agent. We're going to get going. Yeah. So welcome everybody. Great to have us all here together. This is like this is terrific. Does somebody want to make a motion? There's people look at the minutes, the previous minutes.
Yeah, so, I move that we accept the minutes of the previous meeting. I will second. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. I'm going to skip to introduce Roxanne Dunn, who's our health nurse, so Roxanne can go home. I just wanted to welcome you.
Thank you.
Roxanne. We are thrilled to have you on board. Anybody have any?
No, I mean, we're excited for your hours and everything like that. Can you maybe, I know you've been here at the senior center having some open hours, but are you able to kind of speak to a little bit about your new integration here and how that's been going? And
So it was off to a slow start just because of my commitments to my outside position. So February was very, very slow. There was probably like 2 shifts in February. So the last couple of weeks, I have my office hours here are Tuesdays and Thursdays afternoon from 3 to 7. And it was just announced in the newsletter. So I am starting to get some people, that come in and need some B12 shots or just some medical questions. So off to a slow start, but I'm gonna work on. I did have a request from some people to do a lecture on the signs and symptoms of an MI.
nice,
Not
not nice for an MI, but nice for the education.
It's nice that they requested it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna put that together.
That's great.
Yes.
That's awesome.
And I also spoke to Roxanne about the Public Health Excellence Consortium that we're a part of.
Yep.
And I'm going to loop her in with them so that
Nice.
we can coordinate services that we provide.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Did you end up getting, I know there was a question about, your office and is there like a telephone?
The telephone's all set.
Okay.
And the messages, if someone leaves a message, it's forwarded to my laptop or my email. So no issues with that.
It's great.
Awesome. All right, so, there was also a question, I think, about Tuesday and Thursdays, and I think you were gonna work that out, which I thought that was a good idea, the Tuesdays and Thursdays, and you sorted that all out.
Yes. Yep. And it is advertised in the newsletter. And I have little flyers for Tuesdays and Thursdays 3 to 7.
That's great.
Good, good. Any questions or concerns that you have that we might be able to help you with to?
I do just have a question on where to get needles for injections because I did have to dispose of a lot.
All expired or old.
Very expired.
Yeah.
Very expired.
I don't know if we haven't had an account, but we could make one probably easily for
With
med supplies. Because we don't really have a med supply account.
No, but who would it be with?
My brain, like McKesson's a big one, but there's like a Western Mass med supply.
And this would be for the administration of,
B12 injections.
I'll look at it.
Okay. All right.
You know what? When COVID happened, I did all
That's
that
fine.
stuff.
Emma will be on.
Perfect. Perfect.
Just gotta revive
all
them.
right, anything else that you need from us?
No. I mean, once we get the McKesson, I mean, there's, like alcohol wipes and
Yeah.
You'll
little
just
things like that.
let us know the DME that you need and we'll get you the
Sure.
supplies.
Perfect.
Because that can go under our like community needs budget line.
Great.
Yep.
All right.
Right, well, thank you, Roxanne.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Sticking around.
Can
Great,
stick
welcome
around and you
aboard.
can end your very long day.
I will end my very long day.
Okay.
Right. Have a good.
Need anything from me, I'm usually not in the building because I work so few hours, but just leave something in the mail slot on the first floor, this is Board of Health.
Okay.
But I now will have office hours every week from 10 to 12 on Tuesdays, where the public, if they need to come in and see somebody in person, they can be there. But typically Ben and I are there
Mhm.
Monday, Tuesday. He's there on Wednesdays, then I'm there Thursday and Friday. But yeah, like an hour and a half, 2 hours a day kind of thing.
Okay.
But but again, if you need anything to drop it off, whatever, just put it in the mail slot.
Sure.
You said Tuesday and Thursday?
And I gave Roxanne my phone number
For-
also.
Yes.
Nice.
Me?
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay,
Tuesdays, 10 to 12.
yeah. 10 to 12.
all right, thank you,
Great.
Roxanne.
All right.
Awesome.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thanks for
Safe.
coming.
We are waiting for Ben.
Maple Farm Foods, right?
You can use from the chicken, but we need to take time.
What's that?
It's gonna be, take time because I'm sick. I've been through the surgery, I have a cancer, and I'm fighting with everything. If it's, I did what he asking me to do, and if it's nothing, you guys welcome to my place to check it out. I cannot stay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he should be here
Yeah,
shortly.
he knows what's going on. None of us do.
Okay,
Great, thank you.
So
okay.
I'm sorry for your health issues. I wish you well. Yeah.
Okay,
10, 20 times.
okay, we're
Okay.
Okay.
we're gonna,
He doesn't have.
okay, we're gonna continue, but as
Okay.
soon as Ben comes, you're on.
Yeah.
Okay, permit application,
So we have 4 that you need to consider. These are all for food. They've all
you can just
applied,
give us
they're
the name.
reviewing.
Yeah,
They've paid, so it's Lowe's, Marshalls, TJ Maxx, and there's a
Mhm.
4th one. Bear with me. The Stop and Shop gas station every year. They sell packaged
Yeah.
food, so you
I
just
do
need to vote
vote
on
to
those 4.
approve the permit.
I'd like to make a motion.
Okay, second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Voted
Thank you.
unanimously.
Peter, did we send out emails did we reach out to those places, that food vendors that had not responded?
Yes,
And how many are left outstanding?
there's probably 24. So we sent out a second email campaign last
Yeah.
month. And those there are 4 or 5 that we still didn't have email addresses
Mhm.
for. So we sent out by way of mail. 2 of them actually were returned to us yesterday as undeliverable.
Mm.
And it turns out that the new owners of these 2 of these establishments aren't even in the state.
Mm.
But we got new addresses, so they went out this afternoon. But we still have somewhere between 20 and 24.
All right, so how was Ben gonna chase those? What's our plan to,
I don't know.
we don't have a plan,
We
Yeah.
sort of talked about this at our last meeting,
right?
that we would see how many were left standing. And I think what we had sort of loosely talked about was that Ben would perhaps call them. Was that your recollection of that?
Either call or when he goes and inspects them, find out why they haven't applied for a permit.
Mm.
Like
I
you
think,
need to Ben because he's
yeah, I think he's gonna need to call
He's
because
pretty
he's pretty, yeah.
he's out straight.
Would you have time to call?
I can.
Okay, I would suggest that, over the next couple of weeks,
Yeah,
or 3 weeks, however long it takes
Yeah.
to, depending on the time. But I think Ben's plate is full right now.
it's
It's
very full.
overflowing.
Mhm.
Very full.
So that would be good.
All right.
Thank you, Peter.
So I'll put it on my list.
Okay.
Thank you. Julie.
All right. Emma, do you want to give us a deferment applications update?
Yeah, so we hadn't gotten any other applications for deferment.
How many did we get?
Oh, I would need to go back. I think it was, I want to say 12 or 13.
Okay,
Dunkin' Donuts did resubmit their application. It was not as robust as we were looking for with detailed explanations. With that being said, a majority of their products are the type 2 recyclable plastics.
okay,
So the only thing really predominantly for them is their straws,
right,
which I spoke to the manager there
okay,
and they
great,
understood.
thank
So
you.
I think overall it was a good rollout. I know I can only speak for myself, but it was some anxiety coming up to that because I know it wasn't as organized as maybe we had all hoped. But I think it was a good outcome in the end.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah,
So,
good job.
so were they, so in terms of process, were they all approved or, so they weren't, and they know that they were approved? Okay.
So, I'm wondering if you should let Carolyn perhaps know the list so that in case complaints come in, because we're not.
Yep.
So they'll know who has the exemptions and who doesn't.
Yep, sure thing.
Right, water testing update?
Really don't have any updates yet because it's not time to start testing. That's really kind of beginning of summer. But I am gonna be reaching out to the Friends of Lake Warner,
Right,
which is
okay.
Jason, our contact for that, just to get us teed up for
Right,
this
so
year.
you're on it.
Yep.
Okay, and we have that money, which we have until July.
Yep.
Okay, good. Did we put money in the next year's budget to
I-
include that?
That was under the
Good,
community
okay,
needs bucket.
great.
Yep.
All right, FY 24, budget meeting, March 23rd at 5:30. Peter, you would like me to attend that, correct?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
will- I-
And so I sent you the email with the agenda and with the Zoom link.
Yes,
Okay, so I assume you received, or I think you sent me a note back saying you got it.
yes, but I
Okay.
did not save it somewhere. Could you just email it to me again? And then we'll save the link so that, but it is on my calendar.
Yeah, so it's at 5:30
Yeah,
on the 23rd.
okay.
Hi, Ben.
Hey, how's it going?
Bye, Ben.
Hey, Steve.
Um, do you wanna,
Sure. If whenever you guys are ready for me
We're-
to do my thing, I'm ready for you.
we're ready, and I
Okay,
think this gentleman
he's-
here is from Maple
Yeah.
Farm.
Okay, yep.
Yeah,
He's waiting for you.
and he's
yes.
not feeling well, so he wants to
He wants to go. All right, sounds
go.
good.
So let's, if you're okay with it,
Yep,
let's jump
let's do
right
it.
in there.
All right, and pull out my
Handy dandy notebook.
yeah. Oh my goodness, that is on my desk. Okay. Let me see. Is it? Well,
I'm wearing off on you.
yeah, I did. No,
All the
I think I just
time.
left it on my desk.
All the
Is there
time.
any way that only take me like a minute to grab it off the thing I can run across the street?
Yep,
Even
go.
just like a couple minutes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll be right back. Okay, cannabis permits, who is gonna look into that? Peter
So
was.
Margaret had reached out to Carolyn. Carolyn sent it to Jennifer. Jennifer and I spoke. Haven't heard anything back. It's going to take some research in terms of, what was decided.
Okay.
Whatever, 2-3
Several
years
years
ago.
ago.
Emma,
Okay.
I don't know if you remember. But apparently 2 to 3 years ago, it was decided in the town that the cannabis shops that are being opened in Hadley,
Mhm.
the Board of Health was going to permit
Correct.
their sales agents.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Each agent.
Okay. So in our last meeting, or maybe it was 2 meetings ago, I don't remember. So the question that I raised was, do we need to go ahead and pursue the second cannabis dispensary on Route 9? Again, I don't remember the name of it.
Hadley, is that it?
Mhm.
Who
I don't-
voted to
Could
have
be.
the Board of Health permit cannabis?
I'm not quite,
That's what we
But,
need to find out,
but I know
'cause
that,
we're not charged by the state with doing that.
no, but it was a town.
Right, I just wanna
Yeah.
know that, we wanna get the history of it.
Yep,
So my understanding, again, obviously I wasn't here, happened, but my understanding is that it is town by town.
Yep.
Northampton supposedly is not doing that. But when Greg was here,
Right.
I asked Greg, and this goes back a year and a half,
Yep.
let's say. So what we did for 2022 is we permitted the sales agents for the first 109.
hmm
So now we have a second one.
Yep.
We haven't done anything with them because again, there was a question as to, are we supposed to do that or are
Yeah.
we supposed to do it?
So the bylaws for the marijuana, I would have to, I haven't read that language in a long time. But it was every agent needed to be
In the
permitted,
town bylaws?
no, in whatever for the marijuana for Hadley.
Oh, okay.
Each agent has to be permitted and then each establishment has a brick and mortar permit as well, I believe.
So the town select board voted on that?
Once again, I haven't
Can you,
read that.
look into it?
Yep.
Okay, and then be in touch
Yeah,
with
because that
Peter?
was when I came up.
Okay.
That was like 2019, 2020.
Okay,
Yeah, it was,
Yeah.
it was like either just before COVID hit
Yep.
or it was when COVID hit.
Yep.
whatever.
It was right before
So
COVID.
that was question number one. Question number two was, so the first establishment that I permitted last year, each sales agent, I assume we have to renew them.
Correct.
Because again, the permit that we sent them was only for
1 year.
1 year.
Correct.
And again, I assume that they may have had some turnover in terms of their own staff.
Correct.
Okay, so if you guys can just, or Emma, somebody just let me know if you want me to go ahead and re-permit the initial cannabis store. And then secondly, how do you want to pursue the second one?
okay, so what I would like to do is have Emma, when she has, the bandwidth, to review the votes
Yep.
and where exactly it's codified
Right,
and report back to us, and then depending on what she finds out, if that's the way that we need to move forward, then we'll do it.
Yeah, I'll find that.
Not feeling any
yeah.
urgency. I wanna
I'm not
do,
either, but
yeah, I wanna do the right thing.
the other thing is that exactly, I want to make sure we're doing the right
Right.
thing. Correct. And also there's a fair amount of revenue attached to it, for the
Yeah.
town.
Yes,
So,
Yeah,
there is some financial stewardship opportunities there.
right.
Do you know if this bylaw was a really lengthy document or was it a?
I honestly,
She gonna find
Yeah.
it's 8 years ago in my brain.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I'd like to even actually see the bylaws if possible.
Yeah, Emma can
I
circulate it.
think I'll do an email for information sharing.
Mhm,
And then I think it would be a great opportunity for discussion at our
Mhm.
next meeting.
Right.
mhm. So what is Carolyn then going to investigate?
she's not, she has no idea where.
Yeah,
Oh,
really
I'll
sorry.
figure
So-
it out.
So again, so she asked Jennifer to look into it, and Jennifer and I have been talking about it, but it's
It's not at the top of the
Okay.
list.
it's not on the top.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right,
Top 20 at
Emma's
this
on
point.
it. Okay, so we're gonna defer that. We'll get some information and then we'll discuss.
Okay.
That sound? Okay, core office hours
So
for the public?
as I mentioned, when Roxanne was here, there's a perceived need for me to have core hours. So
Mhm.
if somebody from the public wants to physically come into the office
Sure.
and look at Title V documentation,
Yep.
or want to have a conversation, whatever. Um, the number of people that come into the Board of Health office is like one a week,
Yeah.
maybe. It's probably more like half a person a week, but in any event. So what I'm going to do, what I communicated to town administrator upstairs is that, I'll do Tuesdays from 10 to 12. I'll be there.
I wouldn't know
Ben's
where to
usually
find
there
Peter.
anyways.
I
But
know we're gonna be able to find
if
them.
if we can go ahead and put something
On the
on
website?
our webpage on the front where, again, it lists the, I guess our phone number for the board of
Yep.
health, we just put, those hours on there. Tuesday, 10 to 12, somebody will be there in the
Okay.
office.
Peter, did you get my email about the voicemails? There were two voicemails that sometimes I just can't open them up. And I couldn't open them up today, so I was hoping when you have a chance, you can listen to them.
Yeah, well, I'll be back in the office tomorrow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I did not, because I don't know why. And then it corrects itself like 2 days later.
Interesting.
It's a funny, okay,
All set?
yes.
Steve, you want to come over? I'll grab a seat for you. Okay, whatever you'd like.
yeah.
Okay, so I asked for Maple Farms to come in today because I have done an inspection at Maple Farms. I did the first one in January and found some violations and provided a report for those violations to be corrected. I came back a couple weeks later. I had emailed the report. And for whatever reason, somebody didn't receive it or didn't notice that it was the report or something like that. So I came back 2 weeks after that because at that point I would consider that if you're seeing it for the first time, you still need opportunity to correct. So I came back 2 weeks after, scheduled that visit. And when I came in, about half of the violations had been corrected, but there's still half remained. And so I left them with a reinspection report that I emailed to them after, and that is the violations that I have here. I'm going to pass it around to the board also. I know you have it, but I'll give you one as well. So we're all reading off of the same sheet.
Kind of be helpful.
Yeah, same thing. All right, so just want to go over it quickly. So we have some temperature issues. One of the items that I had found before was in compliance when I went back, but
Gonna be, excuse me, we're gonna go one by one issues, or we're gonna collect everything and we talk about everything? Can you say that is every item, everything I send it to you picture, and then I corrected that temperature issues. I bought a new stuff. Either if you're gonna go one by one with me, and much easier. And if you collectively everything, which one you have, which one you didn't, I might not answer the question.
so I'm going to go and update the board where we were at my last
And you have
inspection.
also my email, my pictures and everything I sent it to you.
And then we can go line by line, like you said, if you want to have a discussion on each
Just I
one of those.
want to
Okay.
make sure that we do.
Okay. I'm going to update the
Yeah.
board first. All right. Okay. So, so the first one, as I was saying, was there was a cold holding issues. There were 3 that were a problem previously. This time there was 1 corrected, 2 that were still in lack of compliance there. Sanitizer was not in use at the food handling areas. There was an item that they were using to clean with, but it was like a urn cleaner or something like that when I was there. It wasn't sanitizer. There was no ability to test sanitizer if they had it, the little kit, that type of thing. It was not there for my reinspection. The grease trap, we didn't have a cleaning log. After I had been there previously and mentioned that if you don't have one, we are going to need to get them cleaned. 2-compartment sink was still being used for warewashing when I came back for the second reinspection. The walk-in freezer floor was unfinished at the time that I got there, and that's something that we'll have a conversation about because that's a big project.
Right.
But that's still a violation. Shelving in the walk-in coolers were found to be very rusted. Rust to the point, not just like a surface rust, but rust that causes pitting. So it's difficult to clean. You can't really get it clean. All right. Cleanliness was an issue in hard to reach areas. There was a lot of cleaning that was done, so there was a big improvement from the last time that I was there, but there were still some areas that were that needed a lot of attention, and so I left it on there until those got resolved. And then there was an issue with rodent droppings, which is part of the cleanliness issue. That a lot of the areas were cleaned up that didn't have rodent droppings anymore, but the ones that weren't still had some rodent droppings. And I did not have a pest control report, updated pest control report from the last time that I was there to confirm that if it was a current issue that it's being addressed. So that's where I was. That's what I left off with when I left. And at that time, I sent an email to yourself and Nuri saying, "Hey, we're not where we need to be. You'll need to go to the board, and we're going to have a conversation about where we're at right now and what we need to do to get this resolved moving forward." And that's how we got to where we're at now. So with that being said, now they're all caught up on where we're at. Steve, you want to go line by line, or do you have a couple things you want to say before we get into it?
So before we start.
Yep.
Just like that this is being recorded.
Hey, no problem.
Okay, all
No
right.
problem.
So I just want you to know that.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
Three more.
Okay.
That store being existed in the last 15 years. That shelving and everything has been there all the time. And might be some areas, not all the areas, are rusted. Those areas, those things I said to the gentleman, we have the company, Amos Welding, they do a perfect job on those kind of things. Those item we're talking about, $15,000-$20,000 shelvings. And I corrected, I took it, I coded, and same Rust-Oleum paint thing, and I sent a picture to you. Did you see it?
I saw some of the pictures, yes.
Not the sum of it. I especially for that I sent a picture to you. If you have it in your phone, you can show it to the
Do you have a phone that you can pull it up on?
mine.
Yep.
I don't have no charge left. I can. I swear, I'm very disappointed myself. I don't have no batteries.
Okay, all right.
And but you have it.
So what I'll say is that to be able to correct the violations, I have to go there and take a look at it.
Exactly. I offered you, please come, please
Yep.
come before you go to the front of the board. The cooling issue, I bought a new cooler. I paid $5,000. And sanitation and some that thing kit and everything. Then I do dishwasher. I paid $10,000. Put the new dishwasher there. Do you guys have any charger here? I can put this in. I can show it to you right there. You don't have it. Okay, I put the new dishwasher. I don't have no kit. I don't need it. No kit, no nothing anymore.
So when you have sanitizer on the line, it's not the dishwasher that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And sanitizer. I'm
Yeah,
talking
for
about
cleaning,
like
yes.
wiping tables.
But
down.
I have spray and ready for that. I can carry the spray instead of trusting the people. They will put too much bleach or less bleach or what bleach. So I've been in this business 45 years. I've worked as a health inspector in Sweden, myself in Europe, that kind of job. I teach this thing at the university. And certain things is I want to do it. Certain things I want to recommend we discuss here how we're going to do it. We don't like the people educated, uneducated, put too much bleach, playing with the people's health and this and that. We have spray. We spray it. Very trustable companies manufacturing those kind of things. So that I go from there. I put it in that machine now. I don't need a dishwasher by hand or anything. Code came, one of the dishwasher broke down, and we just got new. Two things corrected. We go through anything else.
Well, I mean, you've had your piece on. Does the board have any questions before I go through?
Yeah, the reason I know, for instance, the freezer floor, this has been an ongoing issue for over 2 years that I'm aware of, because I had to go out to your place. I went out with the building inspector and the fire chief. We looked at the issue of rodents again. We looked at many, some of these very same issues, but the freezer floor, you had assured us rodent,
Like mouse.
mouse,
Rats.
rats and droppings and that sort of
Can
thing.
I answer that?
Sure.
Yeah, right now, a new company came in, we don't even see, if I see the rodents, mice, I will tell you, because we're living in nature, we're living in right, our backyard is open. You know, we might happen, but it's 100%, I don't see anything. But floor things we can talk about.
Right. So, anyway,
So the floor was an issue 2 years
the floor
ago.
was an issue
It's been an
several
issue
years
for a
ago,
long
and at that point in time, you said to me, "You're working on it." You said, "I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I've got someone involved." That was 2 years ago. And from what I understand, looking back over previous reports, that was an issue probably 4 years ago. So I guess I don't understand why it hasn't been done in a number of years.
This economic issue, that is on the floor. We said, can we paint it with a plastic paint? And it became easy to clean up. Underneath is a perfect, what's the name? Side panels and lay down because a lot of energy disappears to the cement. Cement never. We have no insulation underneath, but cooler. We have insulation underneath, and it's cement doesn't bother us. Doesn't take the from $10,000 we took down to when we put that floor because it's today $7,000 a month payment of the electric.
So Ben, what does the code say needs to be done with that floor?
So the code states that the floor has to be smooth, easily cleanable, non-absorbent, damage resistant, right?
Okay.
And right now it's unfinished wood. It's yeah,
So
so it's
that has to be
porous.
addressed.
Yes,
what
but
it
it could be done with the paint in
We'll have,
different way.
Ben will have to.
Yeah, so I mean, if it's you said it's cement underneath there. So cement could be fine as long as it's sealed. You could use a specific a sealer that's meant to go over the. You could also use an epoxy paint that's
Mhm.
designed to be a floor paint
Mm.
that doesn't chip or anything like that, or at least not easily. It's very durable.
Resin.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
so from today, what do you think is a reasonable time period to have that accomplished?
So, as far as that's concerned, what I would ask is, and what I had asked you to do previously, Steve, was to contact somebody that's a professional that would handle that type of thing, and then provide us with a timeline on what that professional would need to be able to get that done. So,
So that's really what we need. We need to know when it's gonna be done.
Well, how about I shut down my freeze?
Well, the public,
Because they ask you
our concern is,
$15,000.
our concern is the public health.
Believe me, that's pretty skewed. If I paint that with as it says, with the resin and all those things, will be okay. There's nothing, no mold, no dirt, no nothing there.
Yeah.
Is there any mold you see in there?
Ben is describing what needs to be done for you to reach to reach code.
To reach.
And that's the state law. That's not, it's not at our discretion. It's state law.
right. And, the point that I was making before, I mean, those are possibles where a sealer or an epoxy paint, but it's not, if a professional was to meet those standards, smooth, easily cleanable, non-absorbent, damage resistant, and they are a professional, they say another thing can do that job, then that's fine too. The board isn't telling you how to fix it. What we're doing is saying what the code requires, and you have to meet what the code states. So there's different ways to get there.
I'm looking into it.
But we would need a proposal from somebody about what they can do. And if it's not somebody that you hire, we would need the proposal from yourself. Like if you're going to do it yourself, then we would need a timeline, that type of thing. And we would have to hold you to that timeline. So I had suggested that a little while ago to you. I haven't seen it yet, and that's why it remains on here. I mean, at that level, I would probably still make sure the board is okay with your timeline because it's a big job, and I wouldn't want to just be the only person deciding what's the right timeline. But I don't have anything to present to the board tonight with your proposal, right? And so that's why.
But everything else is.
So the other ones,
tell me.
what my question to you is, you said maybe you want to go through it line by line, and I did give you a copy
Yes,
so you could
please.
take a look at it. My question is, has all of these, other than the freezer floor, been done?
Done.
And I'll give, what was that?
Done.
My question around that would be, as you were talking about just now, that sanitizer is a difficulty, people could put too much
Yes.
in, too little. You said that the dishwasher should resolve your issue as far as needing a test kit. Those type of answers indicate to me that you might not fully understand what you need to have done to be in compliance.
Okay. Can I explain for you? Kid is there. The dishwasher is there. And the new company, they came and they did everything. And when you say when we clean the surface, you recommending you're gonna put that sanitizer in the bucket and take the towel and wipe it off the area.
In what context? Do you mean when you're doing dishes or when you're
No,
working?
no, no. Dishes is I'm not gonna do using any sanitizer or anything. Machine does the automatically
Yep.
everything.
So you're talking about when you're
That
working.
issue's done. That issue's dishwasher issue's gone. But the
And
thing
your
is, you
surfaces.
telling me using that solution, putting in a bucket and measure it, and test it there. But I'm saying, front of the board in front of you. And if you have the pre-mixed, you're selling for my industry,
Mhm.
they sell it, and I just spray it and wipe it off. And I don't trust it most of the time. The other people, then myself and my wife, we can 100% be careful and we don't damage people's health and there will be health issue.
Sometimes with sprays,
That's
but with the sprays, sometimes you don't get what they call the dwell time or the time that the surface needs to be wet for it to adequately sanitize an area. So that would just maybe be something that I think about in terms of using a spray with a rag that won't be as wet, rather than a sanitizing solution in a bucket.
Well, I think there's clearly rules
Yeah.
and you have to follow those rules.
but as I'm saying, this rules is the industry sometimes make it easier for everybody can use certain solution that restaurant industry, my industry sells that kind of thing pre-mixed.
So what I can do, you're telling me as you've looked at I've sent you the inspection, and you've looked at it. I provided you a copy tonight as well, as along with the rest of the board. You're saying as you look at it, every single one of these is done except for the freezer floor. Is that correct?
Correct, 99%.
What do you mean by 99%?
You might not like some of them, one of them or two of them, but for I can't say 100%.
Is there any on here that you're concerned with?
I'm sorry.
Is there any on here that you are concerned you might not be in compliance
So,
with?
for example, you didn't like the solution, that sanitation things.
Okay,
It's the human things that here we're talking.
okay, all right. But as far as you're concerned, you believe that you're in compliance with all of these?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So what I would, does anyone have any other questions or comments?
Yeah, so just everybody here is clear. Uh, there's a permit, the food establishment permit has not been approved. So everybody just needs to be aware of that. So he does not have a permit. Okay, and so it's really pending on, Ben signing
Mhm.
off saying, yeah, he's done this, this, and this, and this kind of thing. You get an application, you pay the fee, so on and so forth. So that's kind of where we're at.
Okay.
Just so that we're all
Thank you.
clear.
So Ben, how do you
important.
suggest we move forward?
Yeah, so what I was gonna say is, I'm gonna pass this out. I know you probably have seen this before, but I'm gonna give it to you here. This is the code that I'm about to talk about. I had it highlighted, the areas that are, support what I'm about to say.
Thank you.
Which is that the Board of Health may issue an order to the permit holder to provide additional food safety training to the person in charge if after an order to correct has been issued, violations, and then it lists the code, interventions and foodborne illness risk factors are documented during a reinspection. So what I would request is that the board issues an order or finding that that Maple Farms If they are not in compliance at the time of the next inspection, outside of the freezer floor, which you're agreeing you will be giving us a timeline on when it's going to be corrected. Anything other than that violation, if anything else is not in compliance, that the board orders that Maple Farms hires a food consultant
Yes.
to ensure that they are assisted in getting into compliance with the food code, and that contractor, business, whatever, whoever that is, the consultant, will report back to the board
Good.
any findings that
Mhm.
they have and any progress that's being made or lack thereof.
Mhm.
And then we will, when they are complete, when they're done, then I would then go back again and ensure that the consultant is right, that it's been corrected.
And I think we should give a specific deadline for when we want the floor.
That sounds fine with me. All
I
right.
mean, if you can delineate very clearly what we need to be provided by what date.
Sure. Sure. So
I say something. Why don't we do? You checked your inspection, that what I'm telling you, I did in 9%, 100%. Why don't you check this out? Then you talk to the board, and then you get those things.
I don't think there needs to, you said they're already ready, they're already done.
Yeah.
What I would only be doing is going in to visually confirm that they are done. However, if they are not done and you believe them to be done, then I think there's a knowledge gap. And if there's a knowledge gap, then it's obvious that somebody has to come in there and assist to get it resolved. So that's why I would say that now we could make the decision. We already know all of that. We could make the decision now on whether a consultant would be necessary if you're not in compliance at the time of the next
He
reinspection.
is gonna come and look.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
I would that decision when you do the inspection. Why don't we talk that after if I didn't do that?
Because, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I guess what we're saying is, you feel you've corrected it.
Mhm,
There's a certain standard.
mhm.
So if you feel you've corrected it and it hasn't been according to the standard, that's the knowledge gap that we're talking
Then you're
about.
gonna help us to
And-
get
and-
to that standard.
and
Tell us to
so-
do this and
Well,
that.
that's where a food,
You have to
You
hire
have to
somebody
hire
to
someone for
train,
that.
to teach you
So
that. We don't
Who's-
do
who's
that.
that company? That kind of job.
So you would have to hire them. We as the government cannot tell you who you need to pay in the private industry, but the requirement would be that it's somebody with knowledge in the industry.
But I think it's after those knowledge, we never been poisoned so many years with it.
but these are the laws. We're.
I know it's the
our
laws,
job is,
man, but it's what I'm saying is
We don't make
very,
the law.
very
Yeah.
tough to,
right,
pushing
so
somebody in a
I-
So
corner.
you will,
Why don't you
give-
take this?
give a time, a date by which you would like the floor repair.
Sure. So what I would want is that we'll schedule a reinspection.
Mhm. Yeah,
At the time that the reinspection is scheduled, I will want the proposal. So
Yeah.
you'll hand me
a work, are you talking about a work order? Like someone's got to come in and say, okay, I can, this is what we're gonna do.
Yeah, I think
It'll
we have
be
to be
according
very
to
clear
code.
about,
Sure.
Yeah.
be very clear
I-
about what you mean.
In other
Sure.
words, not maybe Steve doing the work order, but I mean, getting it.
there's nowhere in the code where we have to force him to hire a specific person or
Okay.
something like that.
Mhm.
But he has to get into compliance with the code.
Okay.
And the way that we've told him what the requirements are for the floor.
Mhm,
If he does it, he's going to have to tell us what he's going to do and
Mhm.
how long it's going to take him.
mhm,
So I'll have that in hand.
mhm.
Or if he's going to hire somebody to do it, he will have
The
you
work
know,
order. and
correct.
the-
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, I just want to make sure we're
estimate.
all clear here about what we're
my
talking
suggestion is that as we figured it out, is good. We're gonna put a vinyl floor. If everybody's suggestion, vinyl floor is very easy to clean.
A liner floor,
Or vinyl
vinyl.
plastic.
Yeah, vinyl is not common in walk-ins. It's usually they're not very durable, so they could easily get damaged. I haven't seen vinyl floors
about.
in
It's
a
somewhat
walk-in.
porous as well.
It depends. Yeah, it depends on the material. I'll need to see the proposal. All right. So I'll need that at the time of the reinspection, about how long that's going to take and what it's going to be. Okay. And if anything other than that is not corrected on here, I'm going to reiterate that I believe that there's a knowledge gap and that a consultant, a professional in the industry.
Yeah, can I say something? The issues was cooler, wasn't good temperature. One of the issues, two other issues. It was the temperature issues.
No, the cooler wasn't one of the ones on the list of items with a temperature issue.
The cooler holding the cold burrito items. That was a cooler. Bay Mary, there's a cooler too. That's the temperature issues.
What we're talking about is the floor of the walk-in.
No, floor is I know is I'm gonna I have a couple of different suggestions to me, and I show it to you. Those suggestions, whatever you choose, pick and choose. Because
So when are you thinking you're gonna, this
So I have
really
training
has a
next week.
timeline.
I have training next week. If we talk about maybe having I have a few more hours, then if that's possible,
Yes.
then I might be able to deal with it at the very end of the week
All right,
next
so it
week.
would probably be the end of next week that Ben will come out.
yeah,
And he will need a plan at that point of what your plan is to correct the flooring problem.
we have one flooring problem, but we have not other items. I'm telling him that I did finished it.
I understand,
Yeah.
but the floor needs, we need to have a plan.
Floor is as he knows, is going to take time.
What,
Right.
we need to have a
Right.
plan.
Yeah, plans.
Okay, and with the plan,
looking for everybody.
with the plan, we need to know when you will have it completed.
I,
Because this has been 4 years
Yeah,
now.
it's been a number of
It's
years.
way
and-
too
and-
long.
And you've actually said that
It's
before.
way too long.
so for
So-
me, I would actually like a goal of having a quote or a invoice or work order within the next week.
Yeah.
With a plan of having it executed, ideally in a month.
Yes.
I do my best. Or shut down my own freezer.
I mean,
use,
we don't really want to like have that happen, right? You're a business that's been in Hadley for a long time. You know, I've been on the board on and off for many years. This has been a long-standing issue with some concerns that come up, and we want to help support you, but we also want to help support the consumers
Yeah.
that are in there. So
How about those steel floor?
I've seen metal floors. The only issue with well, you know what?
That's the best.
There's
thing.
concerns about
Very
that.
expensive floor.
So what I'll tell you is this: I'm not going to tell you. I'm not a consultant, and the town has not hired me as a consultant, so I can't tell you what to do other than what the code says. So if you are in compliance with the code, then it's acceptable as far as what the standard you need to meet is. Right now, we're only talking about timelines, right? So, ultimately, I need a proposal from you or a professional that is going to get it done, and you guys can figure that out outside of. I'm not going to be there. You guys have to figure that out and then give it to me for
So
review.
next week, you're gonna wanna see something.
Yes, that
the end
sounds
of next
reasonable. I
week.
think, and a suggestion of a week
Okay.
is right because I'll want to go back in
We
about a
want
week
some
to do the
movement.
reinspection
Yeah.
anyways.
Okay, good.
Right, so a proposal in 1 week.
Yes, and the reinspection at the end of next week with no need for the board to convene if it is not in compliance on any of these violations. The time I go back, then a food safety consultant will be required to be hired to assist in getting.
And what's the
assessment.
timeline for that we
It would have to be immediate, like there has to be movement on it immediately.
and we
So,
need documentation.
correct,
of
yeah,
that.
send you could show CC us on an email or something like that to a
Yeah.
food safety consultant saying I'd
Okay.
like to contract
Okay, as
with
long
your
as we're
services.
clear on what we're.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying?
I have no issues in my store. I have nothing. I mean, knowledge about it. Have more knowledge than most other restaurants around this area. And that cleanness is perfectly done. You didn't tell me to do this and I do that. You didn't tell me to do this, I did that. 99%. So now you put it in all kind of things on me. I don't know where we're going.
I've documented what we need. I've given it to you.
And
So long as it's
I send
corrected.
it every picture I make it.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
well,
Ben's gonna be back at the end of next week.
Right.
He'll take a look and he's expecting a plan, a specific plan for what you are gonna do to fix that floor. And from that time, there's another month to get the work done.
Mhm.
And that's the bottom line.
And the other issues you felt you've already done and dealt with, right? But if they are still out of violation, then what you thought was the correct way to do it has not been the correct way to do it. And that's when we will need a food safety consultant hired.
This is the things we talk
I'm-
about
I'm-
in
I'm
no
s-
food
I'm s-
safety.
Okay,
I'm
so
sorry,
we're-
I'm sorry, but the fact is, we don't make the laws. We are here to ensure public safety. And so I think it's
All
been
right,
well
that-
documented and we've gone over this a number of times. I think it's probably time to
think we're
move on
done.
to the next.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that sounds fine.
okay.
So, does
Thank you.
what board want to vote on it or what's your thoughts?
Yeah, so
You know,
if we'll make
is it
a,
going to something
make-
else?
Yeah,
So-
we're moving
Some
on.
other issue?
Yeah.
Some other people? Okay, Ben, my floor, my freezer was, I'm gonna say it's one thing, okay, then finish it. My freezer was cement floor. I put for saving the money a couple of years ago, floor with the wood on it, but it's underneath it, real panel.
Mm.
I check everything out, I let it go. I mean,
I'm wondering if this discussion doesn't have to happen here, but
Yeah.
could
No,
happen
we're-
between the two
yeah.
of you at a different time.
yes, but I am
We're-
telling
we're
it from the
done.
board, so
well,
what I'm.
yeah, but I mean,
We're
this
done.
discussion is not, does not involve us. How
Okay.
it gets there is not, we just
Yeah.
want to see that it is done,
Yeah.
however the compliance happens.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving.
All right, we have your vacation days. Oh, Ben, do you want to finish?
Yeah.
Sure, yeah, I have a couple of
Finish
things
what
here.
stuff you have.
So there
Sorry.
was a foodborne illness, a confirmed foodborne illness.
Yeah, blue.
Yep, that came through. That's not just our community, that we were just off one of the restaurants on the list. Just wanted to make sure the board's aware that did come through. I did an inspection
Go
for
on.
foodborne illness at that location. Pretty low risk.
Mhm.
I didn't see anything that indicated to me that there's a problem. I went over their processes, that type of a thing, not just looking at physical stuff, but how do you handle it, and
Mm-hmm.
all that kind of stuff. And I didn't see a high likelihood it came from the
Great.
the
Thank you,
location
Dan.
in Hadley. All right. If you guys need a copy of the report at some point, I can send it out. The next thing is next week I'm on training. So I'm not, especially, it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, test on Thursday. However, the test, if I pass the test, I still don't get the cert because then I have field training that I have to deal with, which I get a test there too. Just let the board know this is considered a very difficult certification to get.
Mhm.
So it's, I will definitely do the best I can. I think I can do it,
That's it.
but I'm just letting you know
Yeah.
it's considered a tough one. All right.
Yep.
The next thing is because I'm going to be doing these trainings, there is a lot that's on the back burner on my plate right now.
Yeah.
And I just want to let the board know that I am aware of a lot of issues, trying to get them dealt with. If the board, I am going to be going on vacation, as I've mentioned to you, Susan, and I'll be gone for almost 2 weeks. It's going to be, I think it's like a month and a half away now. Only reason I bring that up is I will not be logging any hours at that time. So
Right.
if the board would allow, then I would like to maybe
Yes.
use the hours I would have done then and use more now to just try to
Yes.
keep up with the
Absolutely.
workloads.
Fine with me.
Absolutely.
The next thing is I got a call about summer camps.
Yep.
And I need a nurse. So I remember I haven't done summer camps for a while, but I remember the way that I did them in Somerville. The nurse came with me. She would handle
The health.
yeah,
plan.
sorry, Corey, EpiPens. She did other stuff, but I wasn't. That's not my
Now,
jam.
why
So,
don't you talk to Roxanne?
so I was just going to mention. I will want to talk to her, and I might ask some of her time so that she can deal with summer
Yeah,
camps.
yeah, yeah,
That
of
seems
course.
good.
It's one of the ones I need to dig into a little bit though, because I
Yeah.
looked at the summer
Yeah.
camp code. And,
Yeah.
All right.
Changed with COVID. And
It
now
probably
probably
did,
just
yeah.
that,
And so I'm
yeah.
gonna have to get myself all caught up. And then the last thing is there is a application for a food truck. I'm not going to go into the details as to
Yeah.
where it is, but there's an application for a food truck, and there's a concern about the location that it might be APR land, which has restrictions that might not allow a food truck at this time.
What's APR land?
APR land is, I don't know all the details because it's not my thing, but as I understand it from planning and zoning, it's a state restriction. So it's environmental related.
Okay.
So, even though our planning board might say you could do something on an agricultural land, you can't if the state has designated that area
got it.
as restricted.
So our food truck regulations for the health department for permitting only omits locations that are on Route 9.
Yes.
So from a health perspective, the concerned location would not be a Board of Health issue.
It
That's
wouldn't.
my position.
Right.
I agree. No, I agree. What I was just going to tell the board, because you might,
Yeah.
there's a lot of
Yeah,
heat being generated.
Yes.
Yes.
That I have informed the applicant that I cannot grant it until, because I'm working with all the other,
Right,
I want to make sure I don't
Exactly.
step on anybody's toes. I'm not going to grant it until I get,
Yeah,
all sign offs
of
with
course.
departments. But you're right, it's not something that would stop us from a food code perspective. So, and I've
Right.
let him know that he could be in compliance with the food code, but
Right.
he still wouldn't be able to operate if there any other
Right.
department says he can.
Right.
So I'm just letting you know, I communicated that to
Okay,
them if
thank you.
somebody inquires with the board
Yeah.
that there's a concern. That's what I have on my list. Do you guys have any questions?
What is this Margarita Madness?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the thing at Interstate, right? That fundraiser
Mhm.
with the food vendors that we
Food-
were
There's a question
asking them
here,
to
food
permit.
permits.
That-
It says
sorry,
here,
We were-
Margarita Madness
Yeah.
food permits.
We were gonna ask every
you're
vendor
reading from my notes.
Yeah.
for single day permits for those events.
Yeah, so, so we did get an application.
Oh, yeah.
So on my notes to myself, the question I've got is, do the applicants, or have you, I assume you've been involved with this. So
Yeah.
the people that are applying, they know that they have to apply, do they know that they also have to send in checks with the applications?
So
Okay,
the event organizers are the same event organizers that have
They've
been
done it
there
before.
for quite some time. They know that they need to pay. And I haven't been in touch with each vendor. However, I had a meeting with the event organizers
Oh,
a
great.
little
that's
while ago.
that's what I thought.
And we talked about what they need to give me, all that kind of stuff. I did say that the establishments need to get their applications in by March 1st. Is something that we've talked about, that we need more lead time. I haven't got, as you know, I have not gotten them the way we should. It's a work in progress, but they do need to be getting them in soon so that I can review what's been requested.
So that was my second point. So
Okay.
so
Is there oh, I'm sorry.
well, so the event is March 30th. Okay, we received one application so far. So I think when we talk later on about our next meeting, we need to keep that in mind. That again, if it's going to happen on March 30th, I think the event planner is expecting that they're going to have a bunch of food vendors there. But again, I don't know how many
Yes.
it is or who it is. But again, we received one application today.
I would like to make a motion. That the motion would be that if we received additional permits for that event in lieu of possibly not having a meeting or not being able to timely approve permits for that event, I would like to designate Ben and Peter permissions to approve those permits
Yeah.
for that event,
Yes.
so it can be
absolutely.
done more timely. If that,
Absolutely.
Yeah, I second it.
Absolutely. And is there some event coming up at the Young Men's Club also?
So yeah,
there's a, yes.
you
good
know
memory.
that, right?
Yeah.
So that's one that overlaps with one of the questions you had asked me earlier, which is when I'm on vacation, will there be any other?
Yeah, that's what I wanted. to
There is one that will be happening, I think April 29th, that I will
Mhm.
be gone. And I just reached out to the Young Men's Club again today to get more details. They did send them to me. And if you're not CC'd on there, I will send it to you. So you know what the dates are. Now, as far as the big festival of concern that's happening right now, I will be here. So I don't think you'll have to worry about that.
But how about the April 29th thing?
That one, I got it back from them. I forget what name they called it,
It's the
but
Are there gonna be a
green
lot of, I
something.
mean, there gonna be food vendors there that need to
there
get,
will
that
be
need to
food
be
vendors.
inspected?
Yes,
Yeah.
correct, correct.
And you're not gonna be here.
I will not be here. Yes, that's right. Well, so as far as inspecting, if we get them approved beforehand, I can make some calls, that type of thing, and see if I can review the trucks or something like
Good,
that
okay.
beforehand.
Mhm.
Okay.
It wouldn't be our usual way, but
Right.
if I
Okay.
can, I'll try to get that
Yeah,
done.
if you can make it work. that'd be
It's called The Grass is Greener.
Okay.
So
Is that the one on the 29th? Or
It's
was it
April
the-
21st and 22nd.
Okay, so I can do that. I
Yeah.
will be here for that. All right. But the one on the 29th, I won't be. But if
Okay.
I can, I'll try to get
Yeah.
those
And
food
when's
trucks
the
done.
big one happening?
Well,
That one's the 21. That's the one she's talking
the
about.
one I'm talking about is
Okay.
there's gonna be
21st.
like 20,000.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy.
so
Yeah. The town is not just we're
We're
we're only one of the
We just gotta
departments that
keep
are
our heads
tackling it.
down.
there,
Yeah.
people are being bussed from,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
well, so that event, again, I think as Ben just alluded to, I think that's still being discussed at a bunch of different departments.
And what's the dates again on that one?
21st and 22nd.
Of April.
April.
Yeah,
That's the big one. That's the
Yeah.
20,000.
right.
Yeah, we don't know if it's
I'm-
gonna be
I'm
that
just a
much,
bit,
but it's
but-
gonna be a big one. It's gonna be bigger than average, I think.
Yeah, the country one was only 10,000 last year, and that was pretty busy.
Well,
And then the Oktoberfests,
you know, the
I
town,
feel like this is gonna be bigger than Oktoberfest was.
So what I'll say is, as
Well,
far as
more to
health
come.
goes, it's not, we're just
Right,
gonna
we're
deal with the
fine.
food and
Right.
whatever other challenges
Yeah.
that the
Yeah.
town can deal
Yeah,
with, that's not
and-
our thing.
So any
Okay.
food applications that come in, food truck applications that come in for the April 21st and 22nd events. I think I gave you one, and I have the check.
Oh, you have an application for it
Yeah,
already,
Yeah, I received a check from that person, from that party. I'll say Tuesday. Yeah, today's Thursday, so it had to be Tuesday. So, but I think you have the application. I have the check.
okay,
So what I'll do, and just be really quick, is that you and I, because there's a bunch of events coming up,
Yeah.
I think you and I are gonna have to get
Right.
like a little
Coordination.
system together where,
Right.
you know, you put this here and I put the
Mhm.
thing there and
Right.
that type of thing.
Ben,
So
what is
we'll
it
deal
that
with
you
that.
wanted taken off of the website?
Oh, there was a concern about food trucks, like where they can be type of a thing.
Mhm.
I understood the way it read. I understood what we were saying, but it could be misinterpreted. The way someone read it was in a way that could indicate that as long as it's not on Route 9, it's just allowed anywhere and you don't need approvals from anything. That's the way they read it.
So how do you, what do you want done?
I heard from
You're right here, you're with the people
Yep.
who look through the website.
So what I would say is just, you know, we update that to reflect that it's currently banned on Route 9. Any other locations would have to go through the approval process of any other departments in the
Mhm.
town to be approved.
Can somebody,
Yeah, so I'm struggling to even think where that is. It's not on our application.
I think it might be on the application.
It is on the, I'll go
I mean,
double check.
Somebody screenshotted it and sent it out, you know, I guess it hit social media.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
All right,
There's a lot of-
so it's supposedly on the application saying that food trucks are banned on Route
Route
9,
9.
and therefore any other place is,
You could read it that
That's-
way, but as I read it, because I know what the rules are, it's not really that. It's more like it's not allowed on Route 9. But what we know is you just would go through the same approval process as anything else anywhere else.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And so that's what I think the intent of the person typing it was, but it was either mistyped or misunderstood by people easily, whatever you want to call it. People are reading it such that it would indicate that
Yep.
it could just you could just put them anywhere other than Route 9.
so who wants, Emma, you can check, can you
We'll,
change that?
we'll look at it.
yeah, and
Emma.
yeah, and I can also have a look at it.
Yeah, we'll both look at it.
All right, then
Yep.
pace yourself.
Oh, I'm trying, man.
No, seriously, it's a lot. And pace yourself.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate the town supporting the trainings as well.
Yeah, you
I'm
know,
going to.
set the priorities, the training and.
I
you know,
appreciate that.
Nothing is a 911.
Thank you for that. Yeah, anything other than like
Because,
FBI's,
you know,
that type
you're
of
the-
thing,
you're
I
the
need to
kind
go
of-
to those.
You're the kind of person who is a get things done.
Yeah, it bothers me when things are
Yeah,
outstanding. Yeah,
just but pace yourself.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I do have a check for Roxanne. I'm just gonna. Do you want me to give it to you?
Yeah.
And, you know, definitely yes on the hours, just don't burn yourself out. That's
Thank
the
you.
only
I
thing.
appreciate that too. I just don't I don't want to overstep my bounds and start putting in hours without the approval of the
Yeah,
board. So I
no,
appreciate you guys'
that's fine.
feedback and saying you're good with it for the short
Absolutely
term at
fine.
least. All right.
Thank you for everything that you're doing.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys' support, and I will
Good
get out
luck
of your
next
hair.
week,
Thank
too.
you
Yeah.
guys.
See you next Friday.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, thank you.
Does anybody have any other,
No, I don't.
Just next meeting. When is the
Right.
next meeting?
so I would like for us to go to like every 3 or 4 weeks.
Mhm.
Is that,
I agree
Yeah.
with that.
you know, because
Sorry.
to have to meet just to do the food permit, we've just taken care of that
Mhm.
issue. So, let's just
No,
look at,
just for those events. So we may have other permits.
Right,
well, can
understood.
we vote to extend that to other permits, not just the 1-day permit,
That's up to you guys.
Emma?
I don't feel
No.
like
okay.
we have to here. Vote on them, vote on everyone. I think I would be comfortable with having designee with Peter and Ben with their, your admin, knowing where people are in terms of the process, with Ben going to the other departmental meetings and knowing that he's really
Yep,
being
yep,
cooperative with that.
collaborative, love
Collaborative.
collaboration.
Yeah.
So if you guys can vote on that,
So
but
can we
I
vote?
would like,
but we also have other permits as well. So as an example, there's an application that came in, whatever, Monday or Tuesday for I forget what it was, it was either a tanning salon or a spa or something. And so,
I,
so it goes beyond just the food.
But
You're gonna
I
have these
would say it's all
hot ones also.
permitting.
yeah, so what I would like to propose is that if it's, like a renewal of permits or single day food permits, hauler, installer. Really the only things that I would be concerned with or want to hear more discussion and maybe the presentation and stuff like that. Sometimes previously we've had, the applicants come to a Board of Health meeting to discuss like tanning salon and stuff like that. Speaking of tanning salon, I'm not sure if Planet Fitness still has theirs, but they had tanning beds there, which should be permitted. Planet Fitness.
Oh,
I feel comfortable having you and Ben do those, unless you feel like the tanning one, or if another one came up that you really wanted us to have kind of a lofty discussion.
you don't feel comfortable, don't do it.
So we're basically then saying for renewals, single day permits, anything.
What do you
routine-
think?
I would say any routine permit.
I'm fine with it. My only concern is that, will you guys get in some kind of trouble in terms of not providing or not executing oversight?
So, but I think,
I'm okay with it, but again, it's really up to you
I
guys.
can't imagine, all we do is hear that the application is complete and then we vote on it.
what I'll say is that with other boards, that do have employees, that they're not presented at Board of Health meetings to approve
And
permits.
say that
They are
again.
not
In
presented.
other municipalities
Oh, other
that have
municipalities.
employees that work within the health department, the permits are not brought forward to Board of Health members at a meeting to
Yeah.
approve.
Again, I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
It,
All right,
it's-
so-
it makes my life easier so that I don't have to remember.
Right.
Bring it to a meeting.
I think it's a great discussion point.
Peter,
It's
I mean,
fine with me.
we trust you that if something is off, you'll let us know.
Well, and I think it is.
And the same with Ben.
Yeah. And again, administratively, again, it's kind of not a no-brainer, but it's not that hard for me.
Right.
The fact that Ben's on board,
Mhm.
he and I kind of work well now in terms of, he's got the knowledge. I just, put it in the system or put it on paper, whatever, it works. So as long as you guys are okay with it, you voted on it. I'm fine with it.
All right. We vote on that?
I would like to make a motion.
Yeah,
I heard a second.
Yes.
yes.
All in favor for delegating permit approval to Ben and Peter?
Okay.
Passed.
So I propose our next meeting for April 13th. The week before the holiday.
Mm.
Is that okay?
I'm just triple checking.
Yeah, and listen, if something comes up, we'll call.
April
you
13th?
sooner.
Yeah,
We're really, we have Ben, we have Peter, I mean, really professionalized here. There's
Mhm.
nothing that we need to micromanage.
It's a great feeling.
It's incredible.
I'm good.
All right. Do we have anything else on the agenda?
no.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Yes.
Seconded, all in favor?
Yeah.
Meeting adjourned at 8:10.